Hi, I'm Erica.
And I'm Lynn, and today we're going to talk to you about the stained glass quilt that's behind us.
It's just beautiful. This was made with some gorgeous fabric from Timeless Treasures, and really interesting, this great, very complex looking quilt, just 2 blocks put together and just 3 dies, right, Lynn?
That's right. So 2 of the dies are from your 6-inch cube, and this is a great example of taking an additional die like the triangles and square that finishes to 3 inches. So in the case of the 6-inch cube, if it finishes to 3 inches or 6 inches, then it's a great fit for that cube.
Yes, great tip.
All right, so we've got 2 blocks here that we're going to take a look at. And we've got the propeller block, which is here with this, it's aptly named, I think. And then the gesture block, which is also,
aptly named. Now, the gesture block uses our triangle and a square die, and I know you've got some cutting tips for us on that one.
I do. Should we start with that?
Let's do.
Okay. All right, so the triangle and the square, we've got this, it actually comes in 3 different sizes, but the key here, this is like a flying geese block, really, or unit. And what you have to keep in mind with the way that this die is laid out is that on a flying geese, you have your center piece, and then you have 2 side pieces. And the side pieces they're facing each other. So the side pieces, though, on the die are all facing in the same direction. So when you're setting up your fabric on your die, you want to make sure that you've got an equal amount of right facing and left facing.
Great.
And this actually works out really great on this die to fan fold your fabric, because when you fan fold, I think we all know that it's already the right sides or wrong sides facing together.
It's doing the hard work for us.
That's right. And so here we've got a width of fabric strip where the selvage is on this edge, so the lengthwise grain is in the right direction. It's going this way. So then we can just fan fold this fabric. I just want to make sure I'm covering all my edges up to 6 layers. And then we'll get an equal amount of those right facing and left facing pieces that we need. And then you've got on this side of the die, you've got the center triangles. This die has 2 of those. So I'm going to show you another trick. I'm going to try to do this all at the same time. Okay, we'll see if we can do this. With these 2, we're going to do a cutting tip called cut and flip. So let me show you what that means. What I have right here are 4 layers of the two shades of orange that we need, and we're going to cut those all at the same time as well. So I am just going to lay those on.
And again, you're laying it out so that our lengthwise grain is going lengthwise through a cutter.
That's correct. So this is a width of fabric strip. This is a length of fabric strip. So a little bit different, but it also shows you how you can do all these different types of cuts all at the same time.
All at the same time, yeah. Now we're using the Go Big on this. This die actually, and all the dies for this project would work in any of our 3 Go cutters. They'd work in the Go as well as the Baby and the Go Big like we're using here.
That's right, and it also shows I've got fabric hanging over the edge. If you roll that up, it will go through just fine.
Perfect.
So
great tip.
Get that started.
Got that coming through. Now this block, when it's cut, is going to go together basically like a flying geese, right?
That's correct.
All
right, so what we've got on this side, we have all of those side pieces.
And because we fan folded then, half of these are right side up, half of them were right side down. That's going to give our mix that we need to have our right side up on either side facing the right direction for those blocks for us.
Correct. And there's your center pieces. So then the tip I wanted to show you, if you can see this, so what I'm going to do is cut and shift this way.
There we go.
Yes. So you've got the angle of the triangle there, which you want to match up with the angle of your cut fabric. So then you have the least amount of fabric.
Oh, you've got almost no fabric waste at all on that.
So then we just, and I'm not going to run this through again, but I think you can see that we can leave this hang out here. Or you can snip that off too,
right.
if that bothers you. You put your mat on top. Oops, set my cutter off. And then you just run it through again.
Perfect. Oh, that's a great tip.
And you cut and shift. And
really minimize any kind of fabric waste.
Exactly. All right, so that's how we do the
juster block. So that's going to go together and have our juster block. So now I want to take a look at the propeller block, because this is going to use our cube dies.
Correct. And so this block, it's just the two shapes we mentioned, the number 2 and the number 4.
Okay.
So all we're using are the squares and then the quarter squares.
Okay.
And the squares are pretty straightforward. We just have our little 4 patch right there for the center.
And we've put our two together to make our 4, so we're pretty good there.
Pretty easy. And then we actually have 4 different shades of orange for the quarter squares, but all of these shapes are the same shape, which is...
We have 3.
3, I'm sorry, 3. Thank you.
There we go.
I'm thinking 4 on
It's okay, because she's going to correct me later, because I'm going to probably put these triangles in the wrong way, and she's going to have to correct me.
All right, but the good thing is that we can cut 2 of each of the colors, and then we've got 6 layers, so that works out good.
Now this isn't directional, so we can be right side up, right side down. It's not going to matter with this.
Right, the only thing I do have the lengthwise grain.
That is the key, absolutely.
Okay, and again, using the Go Big.
Perfect. So then our first step is going to be putting the dark ones, it looks like, on either side of our 4 patch.
Right.
Look at all those that you cut just in that one pass.
Just amazing. All right, so I'm going to get you more of that.
Now I'm going to go ahead and take our 4 patch. Now the first thing we're going to do is put our darkest orange around that. Now, I mentioned paying attention to which direction my triangles go, because you do have to do this the right direction in order for it to work right. So you want the longest end of that is going to line up across. And I would, again, if I was working on this project, I'd be chain piecing. I'd be doing a lot of these at the same time. We're just going to do one for right now to show you. Now, I like to, when I'm doing a triangle, a square and a square, I guess is what we would call this. When I'm doing something like this, I like to do my opposite sides at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and do the 2 sides of this. Flip it around. I'm going to put this piece on the other side, and then I'm going to take a break and press.
So what I like about this block, it's a little bit different than what you would typically to do a square and a square, especially with your cube, because you would use a half square on those corner edges, and this one we are using a quarter square because of the measurement of that 4 patch. So
now that we've got this done, now the next step would be to go ahead and press these open. And now a lot of times, Lynn likes to press her seams open. I like to press to the side. With this particular pattern, it does have some pretty particular pressing directions to cut down on the bulk on the back of your project. So you can see when we turn over our partial sample here, we're going to press the 4 patch out towards these quarter squares on the corners, and then when we put it together the next step again, we're going to be pressing out. But these corner pieces, when we put those together, those we've actually pressed open. And again, the key with pressing is our goal is then to cut down on that extra bulk so that we get a nice flat square when we go on to our next step in finishing. So now that we've got that, I can go ahead, line this up, and again, now that we've pressed it open, it's really easy for me to do part 2, which is to put the next 2 triangles on either side.
And the nice part is you don't have to have that extra step where you're cutting the dog ears off.
That's right. So we're gonna press that open and have that good to go. And I'd go ahead, add the extra, and then these pieces are sewn together on the short side. Right. Right? I always get that wrong, and Lynn has to correct me. And then, like I mentioned, we've pressed these open. So the same technique would apply. We would sew on these opposite sides, press them open out towards those corners, and then sew the other 2 on.
Right. And so just again, because this is something that we don't typically do, you're gonna, so you can see that you've got your quarter squares. So it's those two sides that you're sewing together.
That's right.
And so anyway, this is, I think, a really fun way to do, different way to do a square and a square and a square.
Yes.
Right?
So,
right?
But it is one that you might want to do a test block. I always like to do a test block, just put together one block, either with my fabric or even with some spare fabric, just to make sure that it works right. And then I like to use a little design board or maybe have a design wall so that you can lay out your pieces so that you keep your colors lined up right.
Right, yeah, this one is definitely, just because of all the different shades, one that will take, you want to take time to make sure that all of your colors are matching up the way that they need to.
That's right, that's right. And we've tried some different things with our samples, even trying those out. So we've had fun with it.